is Samuel Michael, and today we will be discussing 4 different terms. Those terms are resilience, relinquishment, restoration, and reconciliation. And we're going to discuss how these terms relate to 3 different topics, being climate change, my own life, and how I depict the future to be. But before we elaborate on that some more, what do these 4 words even mean? Resilience is the ability to recover from a disaster. Relinquishment is to leave or let something go. Restoration is to rebuild or refurbish something which has diminished in condition. Then reconciliation is the ability to restore relationships with others. Now let's begin by getting into how these 4 topics relate to climate change and the future. Starting off with resilience, how it relates to climate change would be seeing the people all over the world affected by these horrible natural disasters that are a result of climate change and seeing how they're able to bounce back and get back up on their feet and keep moving forward. You never see when these big disasters hits, everyone just sits down and is like, well, that's it. We're done. Our town got destroyed. That's that. No, you never see that. You always see people standing back up, coming all together, and realizing we're going to bounce back. We're going to work hard, look to the future, and see what we're going to do next in order to recover from this disaster that just happened. People don't sit down and give up. People get up and look towards the future and see what they can do next. Then getting into relinquishment and how this relates to climate change in the future. Now, I believe the key aspect of this is letting go of bad habits that negatively affect the environment and how we can work towards a future where less of these things exist. An example I'll throw out right now is driving gasoline cars. Something people do absolutely every single day, all over the world, and it negatively affects the environment. The cars let out all these emissions, bad for the atmosphere, bad for the world, and all that kind of stuff. Overall, bad for climate change. And we see more and more people every day starting to drive gasoline cars. But at the same time, we're also seeing people start to drive electric cars. We're starting to see that change. People letting go of that bad habit of driving the gasoline car and moving on over to an electric car. Now, currently, that is something that we can try to implement. We can try to get people to change a habit they can let go of driving that car. Maybe they could walk. Maybe they could ride a bike. Maybe, like I said, they could drive an electric car. But in order to get everyone on that same page, that's something we have to look to the future for and try and figure out how we will get there. How will we implement electric cars being the majority rather than minority of cars we see on the streets? That is something we can look to the future for and hopefully achieve one day. Now getting into restoration. Now this is something I've been seeing people go out and specifically try to do themselves more and more in recent years. And the way I relate this to climate change in the future is trying to restore the earth for a better future. Lots of harm has been done to this planet. Trees cutting down, stuff getting let out into the atmosphere, all kinds of bad stuff. But a way I've been seeing people specifically go out and try and restore the earth itself, I know, sounds like a daunting task, trying to restore the earth. But a way I've been seeing people do this is planting trees. I've been seeing so many projects, so many people going out and doing this, of setting up these systems, setting up these whole communities of people coming together, going out and planting trees. And you might think, one person plants a tree, what's the big deal about that? There's billions of people in this world. And imagine if everyone planted one tree. Billions of more trees working towards restoring the earth and looking towards a better and brighter future. Now for reconciliation, I get kind of deep here with my explanation of it. And my explanation is that the world leaders have to put aside their differences and come together on this topic. Because climate change is not something which one country can fix on their own. One country is not the only country here. What they do in their actions are not the only actions that affect the world itself. This is something everyone in the world has a part in and something everyone in the world has to come together to do in order to fix. So the world leaders have to put aside their differences, put aside things in the past, what they like and dislike about one another, and all come together in an agreement for climate change and all get on the same page to what they're going to do. Because if, say, one country disagrees with another country, then they won't come together on the same page. They'll just keep doing different things. One country will be doing their best to stop climate change, and the other country is just doing what they normally do, letting all these emissions, doing all this bad stuff. it cancels each other out. We have to see all the world leaders come together and reconcile and come to an agreement to where everyone will be on the same page about climate change. And then we can look towards big world changes to how we can better the world for the future. And now let's get into how these 4 terms directly relate to my own life. And it has to do with where I'm sitting right now. I am currently sitting in a 1967 Dodge Dart, which was my very first car. I bought this car when I turned 16. Before I even went out to get a driver's license, I went out and got this car. And all 4 of these terms directly relate to this car and my own experiences I've gone throughout my life. Starting off with resilience. When rebuilding this car, there were many setbacks, many problems I faced that would cause many people to sit down and give up. But through my resilience, I managed to keep going. I managed to keep pushing forward until I got to the point I am at today. And now for relinquishment, what I had to do was let go of bad habits I had. I mean, I'd go out with my friends, spend money on food, spend money on this and that, just pointless things. This car wasn't paying for itself. In order to get the funds, in order to get the parts, to get this thing back out on the road, I had to let go a lot of bad habits I had. I had to stop buying food, stop buying this, stop buying that, stop buying all kinds of stuff, and just save my money and work towards saving up enough money to buy the parts to rebuild this car. But the main thing that came out of letting go of those habits was not me getting money for this car. It was me creating a better version of myself. Then for restoration, it kind of might seem a little obvious, but I restored the car. That's essentially what I did. I know it might not look the best right now, but trust me, when I got this thing, it was way worse than what it is right now. And over the years, I've restored it and brought it up to where it's at a point that I'm really proud of. I'm proud to say that this is my car. And another way related to my life is when I was building this car, I had a lot of friends that helped me do it along the way. And whenever my friends have problems or troubles now with their cars, I go out and help them do it with their stuff. Because at the time when I was building this, I was the only one of my friends that had a car like this that had problems and needed restoration and needed fixing. So whenever my friends now need help, I'm more than happy to go out and help them and help with their restorations they're facing at this current moment in their lives. And then for reconciliation, I don't really relate it too much to my car as I did the other ones. But the main thing with this is making amends with not only other people in your life. You might have had disagreements, might have argued with people, this and that, never really got along with someone, but finding the ability to come to an agreement with those people, finding an ability to get along with those people is something that I've experienced in my own life. But also to making amends with myself. There were many times where, specifically when I was building this car, where I had many instances where, you just weren't happy. Things weren't going well, this and that and the other. Everything seemed to be going wrong. But I had to make amends with myself, what was going on up in my head, and work towards bettering myself, coming to agreement with those that I may have argued with and disagreed with in the past, making amends with them and being able to enjoy the presence of those people and making amends with myself to get myself to a point to where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is me. I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with who I am, and I'm happy with what I have achieved. Resilience, relinquishment, restoration, and reconciliation. 4 terms that relate directly to anything there is, but in particular relate directly and can be seen very vividly through climate change, the future, and my own life.